Hello friends, and welcome once again to the Gesundheit Kitchen. We are continuing our visit with my good friend Stacy at Seahorse Snacks. Thank you for letting us take over your day and your kitchen for an afternoon.
Thanks for coming to hang out with me.
Well, I'm excited, and not only because you're sending us home with some samples, but incorporating what is, I love anytime you can get multiple uses out of one ingredient. And I kind of live by the motto that you cook once and eat thrice. You know, like I try to cook one time and then that turns into a soup, or it turns into pancakes the next morning, or, you know, utilitarian. Because as you know, there are days where I don't really feel like cooking.
Or eating.
Or eating, right? Like, you know, you have to do it. It becomes like a part-time job or a full-time job at certain points. So the idea of utilizing a snack as an ingredient for another food, whether it's to top cheese or, on top of a hummus or whatever it is. Yeah. So you got a cool little idea for us today. So I'm going to it's so weird for me not to be the one making the food. So I'm excited to step aside. So what you got?
Thanks for trusting me. So today we are going to take our chili turmerific pistachios and we are going to make Palmiers. And so it's a savory one. It's goat cheese, cranberries, pistachios, and a little bun. So they're great for like a holiday appetizer or a little snack.
Sure.
So 'tis the season, we're going to try it out.
Yeah, at the point, who knows when you're watching this, but right now we're a couple of weeks away from Christmas, essentially. Yes. But this kind of thing would be great year-round.
Appetizers, anytime.
We'll hop to it. Let's see what we got.
Awesome. So we are going to take we're going to lightly flour our work surface first, and then our puff pastry won't stick. So here we go. That's my attempt at lightly flouring. So we have a defrosted piece of puff pastry, just as is from the store, and we're just going to roll it out to get it a little thinner and ready for all the goodness that we're going to put on it. I should have floured my rolling pin, but it looks like it's doing okay right now.
Well, and that's one of those things too. If it starts to stick, pause and do it. I think people get so hung up on process. They're like, well, I'm afraid to start it because what if? Well, what if you just pause and correct and keep going?
Yes, you're one decision away from everything being different.
I like that.
It applies to life. Okay, so now we have this bigger version of our puff pastry. So we are going to smear 2 ounces. I have herbed goat cheese and it's at room temperature, so hopefully it spreads nicer.
And if you're not a goat cheese fan, because some people are not, I mean, I love it. Cream cheese would work just as well.
Yes. I think Boursin cheese would work on this too.
Brie could possibly work if you had a soft brie.
Like a triple cream. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that actually might be real nice. I don't know if it would leak out though.
Well, but that's part of the fun too, right? And then if it does leak out, well, then you get to eat it, and
it'll be crunchy on the pan too, so that might be nice. So basically we're going to spread this goat cheese all over as evenly as possible. It doesn't spread that nice, but we can deposit it all around and coat it. I'm just going to break up the little chunks here.
While you're doing that, let me mention that, if you are struggling with lactose issues, we just did recently an episode talking with Dr. Ellen Steinberg about lactose.
Okay.
Goat milk has a closer molecular size and structure to human milk than cow's milk does. Okay. So for some folks that have trouble with cow's milk, may not have problems with goat's milk. And then the cheese making process, oftentimes the enzymes and the bacteria in cheese making break down some of the lactose, and so it makes it easier to digest on that side as well. So if I am essentially lactose intolerant, but I don't have a problem with cheese, and that's really kind of is up to you to kind of figure out what your threshold is. We talked about safe foods in our earlier conversation. Finding those safe foods, writing them down, remembering if this works for you, then put that on your list of go-tos.
Yeah, I feel like I've become the protein whisperer because I'm always looking at how much protein is in things, so I have a good gauge.
Well, that's funny, and I've become team fiber because protein, absolutely, but I found that the more fiber that I have, both soluble and insoluble, it slows down my motility, it helps regulate my blood sugar, and so the combination of those two things are a powerful duo.
We make a good team.
I'm telling you.
All right, so this is pseudo spread. I just dotted it.
Looks good.
going to get the job done.
Yeah, when it gets hot, they're all going to become friendly.
Yes, and we're going to roll it up anyways. So then we are going to sprinkle, the original recipe called for 1/3 of a cup of cranberries, but they're really sweet, so I brought it down to 1/4 cup. We're not going to miss it. So I just rough chopped these a little bit, and we're just going to sprinkle them around to get as much coverage as we want.
And that's a good point. Look at those labels when you're buying dried fruits, because some are sweeter than others. Some of them have a higher sugar content. And talking about protein, I mean, if the protein amount of a dish is higher than the sugar, I don't want to say it's safe, but you definitely want to have more protein than sugars in the dish.
Yeah. So the goat cheese only has 2 grams of protein for the amount that's on here.
Right.
But these pistachios have 6.
Yep,
so we're going to try and help it out a little bit.
They're doing the heavy lifting when it comes to protein.
And these are our chili turmerific pistachios.
Which are not overly spicy, by the way. I know for a lot of folks that are dealing post-gastrectomy or partial gastrectomy, spicy food, which again it's a floating scale for people, right? I mean, it slides based on your own personal tolerance, but I used to be able to tolerate, just anecdotally, really hot food, and I just can't anymore. I mean, it just, my hardware just can't handle it. But these are the right amount of heat, in my opinion, and that they have that sort of glow. They don't kick you in the mouth, so to speak. But
I say they're more flavorful than spicy.
There you go.
Okay, so now we're almost done. We're just gonna roll this up, so the 2 rolls meet in the middle.
Okay.
This is where it all comes together. If there's any loose parts, tuck them back in.
Now, if you were planning for a gathering, how well at this stage, prior to baking it, can you make this in advance? Is this something you do the day before or the morning of? Or
Yeah, so you can do everything that we've done and get it to the next step, which is cutting it, and then you put it in the refrigerator to chill so that it can firm up. And then you can leave it there once it's cut up, and then you're just going to bake them off.
Okay, perfect.
So,
well, again, if you are going through treatment and having a day where you're not feeling 100%, in the moments where you are feeling up to doing something, this is a great project to do in those moments. And then when you're ready to eat, pop in the oven.
And after you bake them too, you can refresh them.
Okay.
So the next day, if you don't eat them all, you can just pop them in the oven and soften them up a little bit.
Slide this there. Are you done with the rolling pin?
Yes, we are just going to cut these in 12 pieces, and then we are going to put them in the refrigerator to sort of set a little bit because the dough is soft. So we want to get it to settle before it rises. So they may look a little mushy, but they're going to puff up in the meantime. So when you bake them. And then if any little parts fall out, you can just shove them back in while they're sitting this way.
I think my surgeon said that. If any parts fall out, we'll just shove them back in. You won't notice.
Better in than out.
Well, for the exception of the tumor, right?
Yes.
Get that one out.
The good parts, at least.
And I if you've ever seen this series before, I try to make the process digestible, pun intended, with a little bit of humor, not to make light of the disease. Obviously,
no.
There's nothing fun about it, but at the same time, if you can't laugh, you end up crying. And I would rather cry while laughing. And for me, it takes the edges off of the reality of the situation. So, again, I don't say that to be flippant. I say it to help process this club that we've been indoctrinated to. We might not have asked for it, but you got to make the best out of now that we're members.
Absolutely, and we have lots in front of us, so we've got to make the most of it. All right, so this only made 11 instead of 12, but that's fine. So now we are going to put these in the fridge to chill for an hour to firm up, and then we are going to bake them in a 450-degree oven for 6 minutes on the first bake, and then we're going to flip them and bake them for 5 minutes.
All right, so these are going to go in the fridge, and these are the ones that have already not only spent time in the fridge, but they've spent time in the oven.
Yes.
Now, difference between convection, do you prefer, I don't know what you're working with.
These are convection.
Yeah.
So there was an adjustment period.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you have not worked with convection, basically it's just there's air moving around. It helps regulate the temperature. So you might have to kind of tweak your cooking time based on your oven.
Yes, and the temperature a little bit.
But man, there's nothing wrong with having the oven light on and watching that, because it's kind of fun. They're like, I don't know if you remember Shrinky Dinks when I was a kid. It's kind of magic to watch them puff up and transform or whatever, right? So
yeah.
You can be an anxious observer of the oven. So these look fantastic, and again, we've got the protein from not only cheese, but especially from the pistachios. And I love how the turmeric actually, you can see how it's kind of painted a little yellow in each of them. I think that's beautiful. Serve warm, room temperature. You mentioned we could refresh them probably even in a toaster oven would be fine for that. Great for past hors d'oeuvres, or this to me would be a little meal for those.
Or they'd be good with like soup, and if you don't want like a grilled cheese, but you want something to dunk, it's little. So I think tomato soup would be amazing with that, or some brothy vegetable like a butternut squash.
Oh yeah, that sounds perfect. You're wearing the sweater, so you know it's chilly outside right now. But to me, a butternut squash soup or a tomato bisque is year round. I mean, even though the squash or pumpkin might be fall or winter, I could eat them year round. Well, listen, this looks amazing. Thank you so much for opening up your kitchen and allowing us to take over for at least a part of the day. We will put a recipe, if that's okay, up online, and you guys can try this at home. Definitely give Seahorse Snacks a try. I mean, if not only because they're good snacks, but the story behind it, the person behind it. To me, it's such an inspiring thing, and we got to, like I said, those of us in this club have got to support each other and stick together. And I'm excited. I'm proud to know you. I'm looking forward to doing things with you in the future, and stay healthy.
Thanks, Hans. Keep snacking.
Oh yeah, amen. Every minute, every free minute. Thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Gesundheit Kitchen. Take care.